Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. And the topic of this 10-minute moan is the quite amazing claim by Alba MSP Ash Regan that some ex-workers in prostitution noticed that some of their clients were in Hollywood alongside Ash on TV. And this is just mental, right? So Ash has been a guest on my channel previously. She is pushing through a bill through Parliament just now, which she hopes to get accepted, which would change the laws on how we criminalise prostitution. Where what she's trying to do is try and give some more protection to the girls, the prostitutes in this, predominantly girls. I mean, there are some male prostitutes, but generally it would be females, and criminalise more the men who take benefit of the services. So she sees that as a good way of giving support, etc. However, she claims that while she was doing some research into this and finding out the issues, she's talked to a lot of people in the industry, that one of them recognised more than one of their clients as MSPs in Hollywood. And it got me thinking, this came out late on last night, and it got me thinking there'll be more than one concerned MSP, I would imagine, in their bed that night, looking at their wife thinking, I hope she doesn't think it's me, or I hope Ash doesn't spill the beans and start naming names. But one thing's for sure, Ash Regan knows, because the sex worker pointed to her and showed her. And this is quite incredible. So this story was run early on last night by the Daily Record with their headline, MSPs bought sex from me, ex-prostitute comes forward after seeing clients on TV. Alba MSP Ash Regan said a woman who recently exited prostitution made the claims to her recently. Now this is incredible. And the story says a former prostitute has claimed current MSPs bought sex from her when she sold her body for money. Alba MSP Ash Regan said the woman came forward to her after recognising her former male clients, plural, clients, on TV. Regan said MSPs who buy sex should think about declaring their activities during debates on prostitution due to having a vested interest. And that's actually quite a remarkable point, because if you are a person who uses the services of prostitutes, and this MSP Ash Regan's trying to change the laws which would actually make it worse for you as the gentleman in this contract, then obviously you've got a vested interest in it, because if that's something that you do, you wouldn't want to affect that. And you would imagine if it was a normal situation, people would say, well, I'm going to step back for the debate because I am involved in this, I've got a vested interest. So that's a cracking point, to be fair. The bombshell revelation came as Regan launched a bill to clamp down on people who pay for sex. Some activities related to prostitution are currently illegal, while sex buyers can fall foul of kerb crawling, etc. Regan's bill would turn the tables on criminalising the purchase of the act and decriminalise the selling of the act. You see? So what she's trying to do is protect the actual worker and criminalise more the customer. So that's kind of that. And it ties in nicely with what she's saying is, should you be taking part in this debate if you are a customer? Quite logical. Speaking to the Record, Regan said a woman who recently left prostitution in Scotland told her she had MSP clients. We know that in Scotland about 1 man in 10 will buy sex. That's quite a high, 10%. So that would suggest to us that there's a likelihood that there would be MSPs that buy sex. Well, again, if that's the start, then, I don't know what the split is. Let's say it's 50-50. We've got 135 up there. Let's say half of them were men, so you're talking about 60-70 men. So statistically, there should be 6. And she said that this woman pointed out clients, plural, more than one, at least 2, right? Where do we get to? So it suggests the likelihood there would be MSPs that buy sex, and there would be people in civil service that buy sex. So that's another thing that's worth considering. It's confirmed to me today that there are current serving MSPs, again, plural, and she confirms, and that is plural. So, not just one, but a multiple who are buyers. She said she described them on television. Asked if she believed the woman, Regan said yes. The Edinburgh Eastern MSP, who joined Alba after quitting the as an SNP minister, was asked if male MSPs should declare sex buying. She said, I think this is something maybe we need to think about, that people will be voting on this where perhaps they do have a vested interest in it. And it's a different way to think about the debate, that there could be people in Parliament who are currently buyers. Oh well, there you go, they've got my stat, and guess what? I was very, very close. That currently there's 70 male MSPs. So if Ash's stat of 10% is right, then we would predict you would have 7. At the launch, Regan described prostitution as modern slavery and said between 6,000 and 8,000 women we think are involved in prostitution in Scotland, which is not an insignificant number. It's actually a very, very large number. I don't want to live in a country where you can order women like a pizza with no consequences for the people that do it. She said studies show that former prostitutes will exit with PTSD rates higher than combat veterans. That's pretty drastic. Fiona Broadfoot, Chief Executive Build a Girl UK, joined Regan at the event in Holyrood to look back and back the bill. She said she was a prostitute decades ago, starting when she was 15 and working in Edinburgh saunas, effectively brothels, in her early 20s. She said of the very ordinary men who used her, they weren't dirty old men in raincoats, they were doctors, teachers, police officers, and, as it turns out, politicians. She asked if there is likely male MSPs seduce prostitutes. She said absolutely 100%. She said it's usually powerful men, it's usually wealthy men. A lot of the act is about power and control. For some reason, coming to visit a girl or woman in the trade really turns them on, and it's a real kick. Asked whether male MSPs should declare paying for sex during the debate on the Regan bill, she said absolutely. If you don't want to vote for this, and I believe in decriminalisation, stand tall and be counted. I really hope your daughters never end up in that situation. She described herself as a sex trade survivor and said, I spent 11 years entrenched in the life. Every day I thought I would be murdered. Every day I experienced rape by ordinary men whose lives were not impacted for 1 second like the women and girls who were being used. I was criminalised, my perpetrators weren't. None of the men who bought me, none of them who trafficked me about and profited from me. The bill, based on the Nordic model of targeting the buyer, would also quash historical convictions and establish a right to public service support for prostitutes. The bill's focus is on sex acts and would not include lap dancing bars or services bought through sites as OnlyFans. Staying up to date with events around the world can be difficult, where it's impossible to consult a single source for the full story. Narratives that shape public opinion often just reinforce media and corporate-backed vested interests. It's hard to know what information to trust. See what the media is exaggerating, sensationalising, over or under reporting. That's why I've been using Ground News. Ground News is an app and website that combines news from around the world in one place so you can compare coverage. For every news source, you can see if it has any political bias, how reliable the reporting is, and who owns them. They even have a blind spot feed that highlights news disproportionately covered by one side of the political spectrum. Take a data-driven view on the news and stay current. Get news from thousands of sources worldwide in one place. I've been using Ground News to help me get all the world's news in one place and give a more balanced opinion on what we read and viewing who is telling us the truth and who isn't. Subscribe via my link to get 40% off the Vantage subscription. It's the one I use to get unlimited access to every feature. Your subscription can not only help my channel, but also help Ground News, as it makes the media landscape more transparent. However, Scottish sex workers have responded to the Regan bill by launching a campaign to fight the proposed new laws. Well, that's interesting. Wonder on what basis. The Scotland for Decrim has warned that the laws would put them in more danger push the industry underground and expose people to more violence. Consideration. A spokesperson for the campaign said Scotland for Decrim absolutely rejects Ash Regan's attempts to bring in the Nordic model and sex work in Scotland as a sex work-led coalition campaigning for our rights. We know that this offensive bill will endanger workers by exposing us to more violence, poverty and exploitation. Criminalising clients does not solve the reason why people go into that work because of financial need, caring responsibilities, disability, or simply preferring this work to other kinds of work. Sex workers are experts on our own needs. We know that only full decriminalisation will protect our safety, health and human rights, giving us power to choose when and how we work. The Scottish Government must also urgently strengthen the social security system so that everyone has access to the resources they need to live, and so that no one has to do sex work if they don't want to. So quite a sort of balance there on the pros and cons of Ash's bill, and I take on board what these people are saying, and we'll see in the near future how this goes. So well done Ash for being bold enough to put this on the table, and B, definitely have some of these people who stand up in Holyrood full of morals and dignity, which is just a sham, who will be probably a wee bit more uncomfortable in their work today, as everybody will be looking about the building and going, so who is it? Answers in a postcard. Put your, I don't know if we could, to hell with it. Who do you think? Stick them in the comments below. There you go. And put allegedly, right? Just to keep everybody above board. It's just a laugh, okay? Anyway, if you want other people to see this video, click the thumbs up, put comments below, or hit the share. If you've not already done so, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell. However, most importantly of all, as long as you're not the type of person that stands up in Holyrood pretending to be full of decorum and no doubt lovely wee photos next to the Christmas tree on your Twitter and all that with your wife, your family, yet behind closed doors you're doing all sorts of sordid things, then not you. But everyone else, have a great day. Cheerio, bye now.